Announcements before we get started. So this first QR, the OSU MPH-VPH, that's the Masters of Public Health, Veterinary and Public Health. That organization wants to come speak to us kind of about what they do, some paths that they provide for students. October 28th, 7 to 8 p.m., and they will provide free pizza. So please only scan this QR code if you know you're going to come, because this is like an RSVP for how much pizza to get. So if you need like time to think about it, I'll send out this survey in the group me as well. It's just like your name and if you have any dietary restrictions. The second QR is a student mixer between veterinarian students at the OSU CBM. If you were here last year, it went really well. So this is just kind of an interest form on what dates you'd be available. And then the Fall Flannel Fest is tomorrow, 5:30 to 7:30. Lots of fun things. There's a canned food drive, which we'll talk about in a second. And there is a bus shuttling to the CEARC if you cannot go on your own. So I'll give you guys a second to scan that. Okay. Just a final reminder, tomorrow club dues are due. It's 11 for the semester, 20 for the year. Aiden will stay after today if you have cash, but you can still always use Venmo. And if you don't have either of those, just make sure you talk to Aiden tonight to set up a plan, because they are due tomorrow, and then we'll start only using the dues paying group me. So it'll be like kind of our transition. And then here's your mental health reminder for the week. If you need anything at all, please reach out to our mental health chair, Addison. Did you want to talk about the canned food drive? There was a slide about the canned food drive, but reloading it. Yeah. I know. It was a really good slide. Yeah, they're like, I can just talk them out loud if they're not here. I don't know. Oh, here we go. Let's first A here. Talk about this first. So if you ordered merch last year and you weren't able to get it because it was kind of towards the end of the semester, we have it here tonight. We have your name and everything blocked off. If you don't pick it up tonight, we are going to be selling it for the discounted price, t-shirts 10 and critics 15 before we start our new merch sale. And then yeah, if you want to talk.
So, as one of our community service events this year, we're going to be holding an essential needs drive. This is going to span 2 months. So you guys will have several days to donate this. You'll also have time after fall break and Thanksgiving break. If you guys go back home and want to pick up anything and bring it, you'll have those opportunities as well. So the drive will run from October 8th to December 3rd. So it'll end a week after Thanksgiving break. You can bring items to our meetings and give them to me, and I will make sure I get your note down for your point. Or tomorrow at our Fall Flannel Fest, they will be holding a canned food drive. So if you want to bring any sort of canned food items to the event, make sure you take a picture and send it to me via GroupMe so we can make sure you get you noted down for your point. We'll also be sending a little bit more information out via an Instagram post and also on GroupMe with a little wish list that the food pantry on campus needs. But the food drive will essentially include canned goods, hygiene products, and gently used professional clothing items. If you have items that don't fit into these categories, but you think you could still donate, just contact me and I can help you out. Thank you.
Okay, today's our EB experience meeting. This is a really great meeting that I'm super excited about. And then I'll hand it off to Lily to start.
Okay, so Essentially, with this meeting, the speaker that I had lined up, something happened. There was a conflict that arose for him last minute. And so we kind of switched things up, and this is just going to be an opportunity for us to kind of tell you what we've been involved in. We have fourth years, third years, second years on the EB, so you can kind of get an idea of where we all are at in terms of experiences in our careers in undergrad. And then you can get to know us a little bit more because last year the EB was told we were a little bit unapproachable. So maybe this year you guys feel like you know us a little bit more. I promise everyone wants to help. We like talking about our experiences. We want to help you guys gain your own personal, unique experiences. So hopefully this helps a bit. But this is a disclaimer that this may feel overwhelming, and that is perfectly okay. This is not meant to make you feel bad about your experiences or any thing of the sort. You're not meant to feel inadequate or like you haven't gained anything yet. That is absolutely not what we're doing here. We're just trying to kind of tell you what we've been involved in so it can spark interest in you guys, maybe give you some ideas of who you can reach out to or what you think you might want to devote your time to in the future, and just kind of give you that idea to help you build a good resume as you prepare to apply for your webcast whenever that comes for you. So, promise, no bad feelings, nothing of the sort. It's not what we're doing here. Um, and then this is something that can pull back up later if necessary. But this is something that one of the EB members who actually graduated last year had formatted for us. This is just an hour tracker. So as you start to gain experiences, you could put everything in this tracker, keeps everything nice and organized. You put the major things you're involved in or major things that you were able to kind of do hands-on in those experiences. And it helps you when you get to VMCAS, you can kind of put it all together and it's already organized for you. So you're not thinking back and trying to add up hours the way I was because I did not utilize this and I regret it. So highly recommend. Okay, but I'm gonna get us started. To reintroduce myself, my name is Lily. I'm your program coordinator this year. I'm a third year animal sciences major and I did just apply to the MCAS this past cycle. Okay, so my experiences. I have them sorted out, which I thought was probably the most reasonable. Dairy, I'm very involved in the world of dairy cattle, particularly show cattle. So I started dairy judging in FFA my freshman year of high school, and I ended up doing that for 5 years. I went to nationals for that, and we got second in the nation. I got eighth overall, so I got some really cool accolades for that. I also went to Louisville last year with the Ohio 4-H team, was able to lead the team there. And then collegiately, I judged in Harrisburg and at the World Dairy Expo this past fall, and I will judge in Louisville in November and maybe in Texas in January. So lots of cool experiences to add to my just what it was. And then showing, I showed dairy cows and heifers for 3 or 4 years in high school through a family that was within my county. I got to work with them with some Ayrshires and milking shorthorns. So that was really interesting. That was my first like hands-on experience with dairy cattle. Youth farm tours this past summer, I was able to work with one of the professors here in animal sciences, Bonnie, and we gave tours to, I think, 900 elementary students from kindergarten to fifth grade, taking them around the barns so they can see live cattle and then working with that big artificial cow that animal sciences has, Buckeye Bessie, so they can kind of learn what an udder is and what milking procedure might look like, and then also talking about dairy products and stuff of that nature, just to give them an introduction. And then the summer after my first year in college, I actually went to Scotland and Ireland on a European dairy tour because of what we did at nationals. We got invited to this tour. We judged over there. We got to see some international dairies and that kind of thing. So just a lot more to put in the dairy side. And then large animal. I've been around large animal my entire life. So I've been showing in breeding ewes and market lands since the age of 5 through clover buds and then continuing in 4-H and FFA. Currently, I'm shadowing at the Large Animal Hospital here on campus with Dr. Niehaus, who was our club advisor, which is a great opportunity that I highly recommend for everybody. And then last Christmas break, I was actually able to shadow with Dr. Hannah Jarvis. She was a mixed practice vet down in Greenfield, and I was able to go on her with a bunch of farm calls. So we got to see some dystocias, some preg checks, general sonographs, and everything of that nature. For small animal, I'm currently a veterinary assistant at a clinic here in Columbus. And then I was able to shadow, again, Dr. Jarvis. Mixed practice, we did some really interesting work with small animals. We did a Jack Russell C-section and stuff of that nature. And then shadowing with Dr. Julia, I got to shadow her in surgeries and in appointments. And actually in surgeries, she started calling me out on things trying to get some experience because she was warning me that vet school is 15 times worse. So she's like, if I can prep you now, you'll be set in the future. She's actually very sweet. For volunteer, I volunteered as a soccer coach for one was like a spring Saturday league, and then one was actually a club league. I did that my first year here with my old soccer coach from when I was in high school. And then at Ohio State Fair and the Spring Dairy Expo, I've been in the milking parlor for the last 3 years, I believe, taking milk samples and keeping the parlor clean and everything of that nature. And then I'm currently an undergraduate TA in animal sciences, working in the health lab and the physio lab, which is not a paid position, so I'd go and volunteer or an animal experience. For leadership, I'm in my second year here in the PVMA EB. I was mental health chair last year. I'm program coordinator this year. I am a CFACE College ambassador, and I'm actually co-captain for that team. And then I'm a CFACE peer mentor. So I get my own group of students to mentor throughout the year. And then campus involvement, I'm also in OSU Pen Pals, where we write letters to inner city school kids to help them advance their literacy skills. I'm in Buckeye Dairy Club over an ag campus, working with just more dairy cattle, because obviously there's a theme here. And then I have a campus job on campus where I work over in the agricultural administration building as a student worker at the front desk. So I should have said this earlier, but if you guys have questions as we're going through experiences, feel free to reach out. It's not meant to be a presentation, it's just a conversation. So if you want to add anything or ask questions, feel free to stop us whenever. That wraps it up for me.
Hi everyone, I am Addison Obringer. I am your guys' mental health chair this year, and I am a second year animal science major. To start it off, I'm going to start with exotic. So I went to Thailand the last summer. Stop looking at me like that, Lily.
Just smiling.
I went to Thailand last summer through Loop Abroad, and I spent a week at an elephant sanctuary learning about their behaviors, being able to clean some of their wounds, as well as injecting vitamins into them. And then I also work at a dog daycare, and you would be surprised how many lizards and snakes show up to a dog daycare and how many complications they actually have. It was really fun experience getting to run over to a clinic when one of the snakes just stopped moving and breathing and everything. And then after that, I have large animal. I shadow at the OSU Large Animal Hospital 1 to 2 times a week. And then during the summer, I shadow and help Dr. Keith, one of my volleyball friend's moms, love her, at her farm. I'm mainly in her chicken coop though, helping collect eggs, keep everything sanitary, make sure nothing bad's going on, all the chickens are okay. And then I have been applying for internships at the moment for large animal in general for this summer. So hopefully I get one. And then for small animal, since this is a guesstimate, but I'd say 2017, 2018, I have been running my own dog and cat sitting business. So I usually about 1 to 2 clients a month, usually about a week or two together. I would go over to their houses. I'd prepare medication. I'd give diabetic shots. Dealt with a dog one time that was not happy in his kennel and didn't find out until I got back. So that's very fun. I also work at Houndstown Dog Daycare, as I said earlier, which has a lot of dogs there. You get to learn a lot about their behavior, the hierarchical structure. With that, I also do grooming there, so baths, hair, nails, anything you can think. And then again, for the study abroad in Thailand, I was at a dog clinic for a week as well, where I got to learn a lot about just general practice for a dog clinic, as well as helping to spay and neuter dogs and cats. And then over the past couple summers, I've also been shadowing Dr. Keith at Healthy Pets of Houck Road. I could easily be saying that wrong, I'm not gonna lie. And there I have actually been able to participate in multiple dental cleaning trainings with professionals, as well as just watching multiple different surgeries happen. I have seen a dog get its eye removed, multiple spays and neuterings, lots of casting and learning how to properly handle the animals in that kind of situation. And then for volunteering, I volunteer at Columbus Humane. I will usually volunteer there on Sundays and every once in a while during the week. With that, I will wash dishes, do laundry, and then help walk dogs and help keep their pen nice and clean because it's really hard to get all of them out throughout the day. With that, I also do the ICU pet sitting program. I usually will go and do that about 2 to 3 times a week, only for about an hour though. That was honestly really fun. Absolutely love it. You just get to sit there and pet dogs pretty much for a whole hour. It's a really good break from all the schoolwork, all the stress. It's just you and that animal. So I really recommend it. And then every once in a while, I go over to the Don Scott Equine Center and I will work inside the equine center to help make sure that all of the equipment for every single horse is kept sanitary, kept separated from other equipment from other horses so no diseases get spread. And then for leadership, I don't have much, but that's one thing I'm working on. This is my first year as the mental health chair, and then I am currently running for a ZEC board for my sorority at the moment, so that hopefully I get something. And then campus involvement, I am, of course, in the pre-vet club, my sorority, Alpha Chi Omega, and then I also just applied for the Order of Omega, which is pretty much one of the leadership organizations for all of PHA, which is all the sororities and fraternities.
Hello, guys. I'm Daniela. I'm your vet school liaison. I'm a third year animal science major, and I also applied this session. So I'll be more brief with the experiences we've already heard about. But starting off, as soon as I turned 16, the first job I ever got was a kennel tech position. So I don't have any jobs outside of that kennel tech and vet assistant job. But I don't necessarily recommend that. They actually, when they're looking at your vet school application, they really do value other experiences you have outside of animal interactions. And it can really, depending on how you spin it, you have to add a description. And you can really get a lot from other experiences like food service and that kind of thing. So I highly recommend including that in your application, even if it's not like animal related. So as I mentioned, I started working there at 16, and then a couple summers ago, I cross-trained as a vet assistant, which is a really great way to get your foot in the door if you're having trouble finding in a vet assistant job. Sometimes you just have to start out on the kennel side and then cross-train. And then as Addison mentioned, pet sitting is also a great opportunity. I've done lots of pet sitting over the years, mainly dogs and cats. But the important thing is keeping track of when you're doing dogs that require medications or cats that require medications. Or, for example, I stayed several nights at a house with a dog that had a history of seizures. So kind of monitoring him overnight, making sure nothing's going wrong, and also just reassuring the owners that their pet is being taken care of while they're out of town. And then most of you have probably met my dad at our second GP meeting. So as you can assume, I've gotten lots of Therio experiences. It'll show up in several of these areas. But some of the shadowing I've done has been small animal, and that is at the CVM. And I've seen a couple C-sections and breeding and preg checks, that kind of thing. But I've also been privileged to have the experience of seeing all of that whole process at home. My dog Nutella, when she was 2, had a litter, and we had the whole process at home. My dad was able to bring the ultrasound monitor home, so we were able to literally see everything from start to finish. And my mom and dad taught me how to cut and tie and sanitize and everything. So that was super cool. And I know that is a very rare opportunity, but I just want to point that out because everyone's going to have a unique experience, and just focus on what is unique to you and what makes you stand out from other applicants. Next is food animal and equine experiences. As many of us have, I've shadowed at the hospital for farm animals at the vet school. I love this experience because it's super flexible with your classes. You kind of build your own schedule and go off of that, and it's not super strict to where like, oh, I have an exam tomorrow and I really can't make it today. That's okay. No one cares if you're there or not. So it's really up to you if you want to devote time to that day or not. The other opportunity I had at the vet school was shadowing equine ECC rounds. So this is different than the food animal rounds where we were sitting at a conference table talking about some previous cases and also some potential future cases with the doctors and the students. I got this opportunity through Dr. Gardner, who will probably host our equine rounds later in the year. She's super, super, super sweet, super friendly. It's not as common of an opportunity, though, I will say. It's a little bit easier for the doctors and students to handle shadows during the summer. So if you have the opportunity to do that, it's definitely worth a shot to reach out and ask. But it's not as open as the hospital for farm animals. And then again, more Therio. I've seen lots of Therio at Scott and also Finley Farm, which is a little further from campus. But if you have the opportunity to reach out to the managers at those farms, I highly recommend it. They're super cool places to check out. And then when it comes to wildlife and exotics, I've volunteered for many hours at the Ohio Wildlife Hospital facility. And that is in Dublin, so maybe 20 minutes from here, depending on traffic. That was super great experience as well. I got to see some triage. They had hundreds of injured animals brought in every single day just by the community. It depends on the season too. In the winter, I know they're not nearly as busy, but in the summer, they have so many animals coming in nonstop. Um, my favorite part of that experience was probably being trained to feed the orphans. So I got to feed baby squirrels, as you saw, baby squirrels, baby possums, baby bunnies as well. It was just super cool. And then I also got a little more Therio shadowing with one of my dad's coworkers, Dr. Runkin. Um, I got to travel with her and their resident, Jake, to the wilds. And we got to see a reproductive check on an African painted dog, which was this picture over here. And that was also a really cool experience to be that up close to a wild animal. Again, the wild is a little more selective because a lot of the shadowing they do is with vet students. So it might be the kind of thing, I know the wilds and the zoo as well, the Columbus Zoo, it might be the kind of thing where you have to reach out multiple times and kind of nag them a little bit to be able to get a position as a shadow or possibly as an intern. I know they have some great internship opportunities as well. And so does the Wildlife Hospital. They have internships through Ohio Wildlife as well. When it comes to leadership, I want you to also keep in mind the little things. Like babysitting seems like such a small thing, but literally include everything on your application when you get to that. I know this is probably way far in advance for any of you guys that are not applying this session, but I just want to have you keep it in mind. Some other opportunities are the R Lead program, which I did my first year. I moved into campus a little bit earlier and did, I think it was like a 3 or 4 day program. I'm just learning about leadership and like campus involvement, which was really beneficial. And it was tied to the OWL program, which was like a volunteer program where I helped students make their way into the dorms and helped guide parents to the right parking garages and that sort of thing. So lots of volunteer hours from there. I'm also a CFACE peer mentor. Applications for that are now open. So if you're in CFACE and you're interested in being a peer mentor, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It's a great way to kind of help others that were in your position. And so it's just a really great overall program. And I stay in touch with my peer mentors. So it's a really great way to network and build your community. I'm currently vet school liaison, and I was also vet school liaison last year. So if you're interested in this position, come talk to me. I can tell you a little bit more about what I do, and you can run during our elections in March. I'm also the vice president of Towers Agricultural Honorary, which is by invite only. So if you are in CFAS and you have a GPA of 3.5 or above, you should be receiving an email about Towers soon. And that is an application process. However, it's not super competitive. I'll tell you that now. So I highly recommend applying if you can. Other volunteer things I've done are My mom is a small animal surgeon, so she works in the small animal operative practices at the vet school. So I've done some volunteering in there, helping dogs recover from anesthesia. Right now they're doing a lot of live surgeries for the next 2 months. So I recommend, if you're interested in that, reaching out I can give you my mom's contact, or one of the other veterinarians or technicians in SAOP. And I'm sure there are either volunteer opportunities or maybe positions open up at the end of the semester as a employee. I talked about the OWL program. I've done lots of volunteering with the Mid-Ohio Food Collective through PVMA. We're having some trouble organizing that this semester, but just keep an eye out for future opportunities. That's Grants Road. It's in Grove City, so it's drivable. And usually if we do offer that opportunity, we also organize carpooling. So even if you're living on campus and you don't have a car with you, that's a great opportunity. I personally became really close with one of our former executive board members, Addie Huffman, by going to these Mid-Ohio Food Collective volunteering events. And she is my connection to Dr. Niehaus as well, and that led me to shadowing at the farm animal hospital. So I just really recommend just getting involved, even if it's little things, little volunteer opportunities. I also volunteer through Towers events. For example, we have our annual plant sale. So I sat at a table and helped sell plants, and we raised money for the Buckeye Food Alliance. So if you do get in Towers, there are several other events within there that count towards your volunteer hours. I've also donated blood several times through the university, through Varsity Blood Centers for the blood battle. That also counts as volunteering. And then also the Green Buckeyes Leadership Program had they have different events every once in a while, but I received an email about a pollinator planting party. So I helped plant or create a community garden on campus. And that was super fun and just a great experience. So I recommend keeping an eye out in your email. There's always going to be random opportunities around campus. Some miscellaneous things I wanted to bring up were also opportunities at the Clinical Skills Center at the vet school. My mom also plays a role in the Clinical Skills Center, so if you need a contact within there, let me know. I've done some random things for them growing up, so I know that's also very unique to me. Please don't judge me for being a nepo baby. But I've helped make simulators and stuff that are still used in the Clinical Skills Center. So things like working with silicone, learning how to 3D print, all those things are super valuable and unique. So remember to include random little skills. Like if you're super competent with Excel, that's a good thing to include as well. I lived in the CFAS Living Learning Community. So if you're living on campus next year, applications for living learning communities will open later in the semester. And if you're interested in what it's like to live in a living learning community, come talk to me. I've also done one education abroad, and I'm currently in an education abroad class right now, funded through STEP. And I went to the Dominican Republic my first year, and this year I'm going to Panama, which is going to fulfill one of my GE foundations. So highly recommend that class too. If you're interested, come talk to me. And as I mentioned, funded through STEP. If you don't know what STEP is, it's the second year transformational experience program. You basically complete a proposal over your second year that will fund some sort of career development. And for me, it was this education abroad. And if it's approved, you get $2,000. Highly recommended as well. And then other thing I wanted to mention are electives. I recommend you sign up for classes that will push you out of your comfort zone. So I know some of the animal science electives are like teach you how to judge. I took a dairy judging class, which really pushed me out of my comfort zone, but I made so many great connections and just it was a wonderful experience. I highly recommend it. I also took ceramics, which I really, really loved. And I have so many projects I got to keep from that class that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. So again, if you have any questions about any of my experiences, please come talk to me.
Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Emily Bronca. If you don't know me, I'm the president this year. I'm fourth year biology major, and I'm minoring in pre-veterinary animal sciences as well. I did actually want to touch on my pictures a little bit because they do. They do have like my experiences within them. So in this bottom corner, that's my dog Montgomery. If you know me, you know him. I've had him since he's 8 weeks. He's in AT now. Well, he's about to fail out of AT, but I trained him for a year and a half, and it was a really great experience to like learn about dog training in that aspect. Let's see, this one is my study abroad. I'm drawing blood on a stray dog in Costa Rica. And then that, like right next to it, you can see if you guys have ever heard Land of the Strays, it's like a shelter that has over 1,000 dogs that they just run around at. Really cool experience. This is donkey therapy, which was actually really cool. The donkeys were really sweet, which if you know anything about donkeys, I don't know how they found these, but they were like one of a kind. They helped children with disabilities, and it was just a really cool experience. This is my horse. I grew up around horses. She's kind of silly if you could see in the picture. And I was in 4-H as well. And then this was also my loop abroad. We were doing some examinations on animals or dogs down here as well. So to go into the official thing, I was a veterinarian assistant at Custis Vet Hospital. This is in my hometown near Lebanon. This was a great experience, like to get my foot in the door. I learned a lot about animal restraint, drawing blood, what blood work means, just things like that, and also a lot about what I didn't want to do as a veterinarian in the future. So all experiences experience, good or bad. And then 4 Paws for Ability, that's what I do Monty through. It was really cool. I started as a secondary sitter, so if you're not like interested in taking on the full-time responsibility, getting a dog, you can still get involved in this, and you can watch dogs on the weekend, and you still learn how to train them from all ages, 8 weeks to a year old. It's very cool experience. For a large animal, I shadowed an ambulatory equine veterinarian in my hometown, which was a really great experience. We went on calls to farms, and it was during fouling season, so pregnancy checks, ultrasounds, all that. 4-H, like I said, I've been showing horses my whole life, pretty much 9 until like 18, right? Yeah. A great time there. And then shadowing OSU Farm Animal Hospital. Guys, this is just a great experience. Please, if you have any questions, it teaches you so much. The doctors like ask you questions during it. You'll be with 4th-year vet students who are also on the rotation, and they can tell you about the application process. You just learn so much outside of just farm animal. A little bit more about my study abroad. So it was through Loop Abroad, which a couple people have gone on if you're looking to get into that. It was to Costa Rica. It was 2 weeks. So the first week was small animal shelter med at the Land of the Strays, and then the other week was dolphin research, which was super cool as well. A little bit about my leadership. I'm the recruitment chair for an academic pre-health sorority called Delta Mega Kappa. So if you have any questions about getting involved in that, let me know. And then this is my 3rd year on pre-vet exec. I was a C-face rep and then the treasurer and now president. My volunteer experiences, I was a peer mentor for biological sciences. So if you have any questions about that, I know it's a little different process than the C-face peer mentor. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm also a crisis text line volunteer. I started this freshman year. It's been really fulfilling to help people like in a very vulnerable place and to meet them and create a plan with them, even over text. And it's also really accessible if you don't have a car or can't drive to other volunteer places. This is a great way to help people from your home. The Mid-Ohio Food Bank, also great opportunity. Hopefully we'll get that started up. Their communications, it's on their part. So we're trying the best we can. We're nagging them, but yeah. And then 4-H horse camp counselor. This was actually, I was a counselor for like 9 to 16, and then I became a counselor. So I help kids develop riding skills with their horses through games, entertainment. It's overnight, if you can believe that. So we sleep in the barn, right next to the horses, just for the horse safety if anything happens. It's kind of crazy deal, but really fun. And then non-animal, I'm a lab assistant at the OSU Veterinary Medical Center microbiology lab. So if you're kind of a micro nerd, definitely talk to me about that because we are hiring right now, and I can show you the workday application and things. And then like Daniela said, having some non-animal experience like balances it out, like food service and things like that. So I'm a student assistant at the Ohio Union. So I was at the front desk for about a year and a half, and that was super interesting. Definitely built some patience and some customer service skills. So does anybody have any questions before I hand it off? No? Okay. You can always talk to me after too. I'll hang out.
Hello, hello. My name is Nicholas. I am your secretary this year. Um, oh, okay. So I guess I can kind of explain some of these photos. Here's me with a chicken from Harrison Farm. I don't know if you guys know anything about Harrison Farm. It's an amazing farm, local. Um, and yeah, me with a cat. It's me with a not so happy cat. Um, that's me with a sea turtle skull. And then the middle photo is me getting ready to help dissect a dolphin, which I'll talk about a little bit in a little bit. And that is me waiting to go watch a surgery. So let's see. Let's start with research. Right now, I am a research assistant at CMAS. It is a electron microscope research center here in OSU. I'm working on a mutated eggshell project with my faculty advisor. Um, that is how I got that position. I highly recommend looking at if your faculty advisor or academic advisor or any of your professor does any research. It is an amazing opportunity just because you have to meet them anyways to talk about classes. Um, so small animal, I am a veterinary and surgical assistant at the Elemental Veterinary Center. I shadowed the OSU Surgical Oncology Department. I shadowed in the City University of Hong Kong Veterinary Hospital. I'm from Hong Kong. That's why half of my experiences are from Hong Kong. I'm sorry I can't really help with that unless you guys travel there, but I feel like it was pretty interesting to share. Um, I was also an intern at a cat hospital in Hong Kong. I want to talk a little bit about the surgical oncology department. Um, so I was struggling to find experiences. I feel like it was pretty hard to look for anything, but I went on the OSU's website, I looked at what departments there were, which ones I was interested in, and I just sent a bunch of emails, a lot of emails just asking, hey, can I shadow just a week or two, just a semester? And one got back, and that's all that you really need. So um, and then food animals, I am an intern at Harrison Farm. So we have chicken, duck, goats, sheep, a lot of animals. Um, for leadership, I am part of Mount Leadership Scholars Society, Society Scholars. We do a lot of volunteering, a lot of leadership stuff, and all that jazz. For exotic animals, this is something that I'm not too interested in, but I have a lot of hours in, so I kind of want to talk about this. So I work with giant pandas, red pandas, and otters when I was back in Hong Kong. Um, as you can probably see, there's quite a few pictures of dolphins on here. So there's one with the inside of the dolphin, one that's healthy, one that we're about to dissect, and we have the skeleton. So the experience that I did the most with was this one. I worked with my aquatic animal autopsy lab in Hong Kong. So we did a lot of necropsy, we did specimen preparation, we did a lot of educational programs, uh, and yeah, if you guys have any questions or interested in dolphins, let me know. Um, but yeah, I also did some volunteering with Middle Food Bank. I did Pen Pals for a year, and I worked with Star House and Ronald McDonald House. Yeah. Any question? No? Great. Cool.
All right. I'm sorry, I don't have any cool pictures of dolphins. Mostly just my dog. But I'll kind of flip back to these pictures as I talk. But my name is Brenda Ragavan. I am a fourth year bio major and I'm your vice president this year. So just to preface everything I'm about to say, my journey in vet med looks a bit different. For up till like maybe halfway through my junior year, I thought I wanted to become a human doctor. So all of my animal and veterinary experience has mostly been relegated to my undergraduate experience. Aside from the first experience I'll talk about, which is my experience as a volunteer and foster parent, everything else is in undergrad. So if you have maybe a similar path, please come talk to me. I'm more than happy to share what my last 4 years at OSU has looked like. So we'll start off with small and companion animal medicine or experiences. So Foothills Animal Rescue is in Scottsdale, Arizona. So sorry, unfortunately, unless you're in Arizona, I can't really help you much there. However, we have quite a few incredible animal rescues in the Columbus area. I'm more than happy to connect you guys with them if you're interested. But I was a volunteer there for about 3 years, and then during the pandemic, I became a foster parent. And unfortunately, or fortunately, the first dog we ever fostered, we ended up failing. So top left picture is my dog Rosie after a mast cell tumor removal surgery. She's given us quite a few scares. We got her when she was 6, so right when she was beginning to have all of her health issues. Also, don't judge the food. I don't know what my brother was eating. I think that's breakfast. Um, I currently work as a veterinary assistant at Best Friends Veterinary Hospital in Powell, Ohio. I've been working there since summer of my freshman year. I know it's been mentioned before, but a lot of you have come up to us after meetings and asked, how do I get started in vet med? Like, how did you guys find these experiences? And the best piece of advice I can give you is cold email, cold call. If there's one lesson you're going to learn throughout college, is that it's that persistence pays off. So do not be afraid to follow up multiple times through different methods. I actually initially applied to, I think, like 6 different hospitals asking for shadowing over the summer, and Best Friends ended up reaching out to me and saying, hey, we really need a veterinary assistant. Can you do it? It's okay if you don't know anything. And I was like, yeah, sure. And also, if you don't have any prior veterinary experience, I can tell you that this was one of the scariest summers of my entire life. The learning curve was super steep. I had a lot of doubts that summer about, like, is this the right field for me? And if you are in the same position I was, understand that we all start from somewhere. You are going to learn. Give yourself grace, let yourself learn. Don't be afraid to ask for help. We'll move on to food, animal, and equine. Like Emily, I cannot speak enough about how incredible the OSU Food Animal Hospital is. Dr. Niehaus, who is the head of the hospital, is actually our advisor for Pre-Vet Club, so he is a great contact. I actually found out about this experience through Danielle and Emily, so let this be a testament that our e-board members and your club members are really great resources when it comes to finding these experiences. But I shadowed over there last summer, and it was a great time. Every single day I was seeing something different. You're seeing so many different animals, and the vet students are absolutely amazing. Like Nick, I am also a Harrison Farms intern. Working with farm animals has been such a crazy ride. Being from a very urban city, I never really saw animals. Rosie, I'll bring it back because she's super cute, was our first animal. It took me close to 18 years of begging, PowerPoints, anything you think of. I try to convince my parents to get a dog. You have no idea how long it took. So I didn't have a lot of animal experience prior to this, and farm animals especially are very challenging, but Catherine Harrison, who is the female owner of the farm and absolutely incredible, has been such an amazing mentor. She's so supportive, and she's a great resource for learning more about the agricultural side of veterinary medicine, especially some of the challenges they face. Stockhands Horses for Healing is a therapeutic riding facility in Delaware, Ohio. I volunteered there for about a year. It was my first experience with equine, and once again, very challenging species to work with, but so incredible. They also allow you to ride the horses sometimes if a student doesn't show up, so not recommend it more. Exotics. Last summer, I also shadowed Dr. Chrissy Olson and Dr. Grant Shawning at Animal Care Unlimited in Dublin, Ohio. This is about a 20-minute drive away, so you definitely need transportation. I don't think it's available on the Coda bus line, but if you are able to find another person that has a car and you're able to shadow them together, I definitely recommend that. It was so unbelievably cool. That parrot in the bottom right corner is one of the animals we worked with. And top right, they do also see companion animals. So Harvey is the pug in the middle. She is one of the technician's dogs, and she was so stinking cute. And then there is the cat at the top right. She was brought in by a kind Samaritan. She ended up having a huge abscess on her neck. So the veterinarians over at Animal Care Unlimited ended up treating her, and on my very first or last day of shadowing, they really tried to get me to take her home with me, but I could just not have a cat named Dirt. No, I'm just kidding. She was very cute, but I could not, I don't think my dog would have been very happy with me. Volunteering. So this has been a major focus for me and a major passion for me from a very young age. I've been involved with Feed My Starving Children for over a decade at this point. I started in Girl Scouts in elementary school. It is a food-based organization that provides healthy meals to children in impoverished areas and countries. It's absolutely incredible. Unfortunately, I don't think they have one in Ohio, but something I was very involved in Arizona and what really started my journey in community service. Chris, Ohio is an organization in Columbus. I am an English teaching volunteer over there. Essentially, what we do is we work with immigrants that are new to this country and we teach them English. Very, very rewarding. They unfortunately are dealing with some struggles with sourcing people to help just because of the issues we've had with immigration recently. But if you're interested in this opportunity, I'm more than happy to discuss it with you. Buckeye Food Alliance, you guys have heard me talk about this over and over again. You probably won't hear me stop anytime soon. But this is a student org on campus that I've been involved in since my sophomore year. I am a volunteer and also the current vice president. We provide volunteer support to the Monda Student Resource Center here on campus. So this is a resource that all of you are able to access. It provides completely free professional clothing, hygiene products, and food. This has also been a really great opportunity when it comes to networking and public speaking. I was a massive introvert when I first started college. I was that student just sitting in the back of all the pre-vet club meetings, like not talking to anyone and leaving like immediately when it ended. And I will say that Buckeye Food Alliance was probably the org that really pushed me out of my comfort zone. I've had the opportunity to speak at OSU Board of Trustee meetings. I led a tour last spring. If you look in the middle, that picture to the right was me participating in a tour for Trustee Wilkinson. And at the middle on the bottom, recently we were honored at the President's House. This is actually on Monday for the work that we did through the org. So networking, communicating, all things that I really, really struggled with as an undergrad, especially in my freshman year. And I think Buckeye Food Alliance especially has really pushed me out of my comfort zone. And the university is so amazing in that it recognizes the work we do in such massive ways. So highly recommend it. If you're interested in joining, please let me know. I'm more than happy to talk to you about it. In high school, I was also involved with Key Club, which is basically an entire organization that is national, bent around community service. And then I also volunteered with Welcome to America project, which is based in Tempe, Arizona, and the whole organization is bent around providing community resources to new refugees and immigrants. For research, I don't have much research experience, but this is something I'm really hoping to explore in my gap year. So my sophomore year, I worked with Dr. Markley. She's a faculty member and veterinarian in the sports medicine and rehabilitation department at OSU. And we did American Kennel Club research. So mainly what my job entailed was calling different buildings that hosted these competitions, learning more about their track speeds, track surfaces, things like that, going through a survey and doing basic data entry. So the job was pretty chill, but it really sparked an interest in research. I'm actually getting a clinical trial certificate mostly because of this research opportunity. And Dr. Markley, I believe, is still currently working on this publication. I believe they expanded it to also include orthopedic injuries related to these track surfaces. So fortunately, the publication is not done, but it was very, very cool to be part of it. And then I discussed the clinical research certification. OSU offers several certifications integrated into course curriculum. You may be on track to get one without even knowing it. So if you want to learn more about the certification process, please let me know. I have a whole document I can send you. Finally, campus and work involvements. So my first year at OSU, I was part of the Spanish and Portuguese club. This was when I was taking my Spanish classes and really wanted to stay up to date with my Spanish knowledge, which has since gotten really bad. But I was mostly a conversation partner in this club. So meeting up with different club members and just talking in Spanish for like an hour. My second year at OSU, I was in Buckeye Dairy Club, which was super cool. The club is amazing. I'm sure Lily can talk to you more about it. It was my first time like harnessing cattle. We like mixed, I don't even know how much money we made, but we went to Farm Science Review and sold milkshakes and grilled cheeses and ice cream. Definitely got to work out there. We also did an artificial insemination wet lab, which was super cool. My freshman year, I was also part of art club. Really big lover of art. In high school, I was a certified trainer at Chipotle, and I was also a restaurant hostess at an Italian restaurant. Um, I'm self-employed currently, and I have been since high school as a pet portrait artist. So bottom left, sorry, I'm like directionally challenged. You'll see a little picture of an ornament I painted for the head tech at my current job of her dog. So if you're interested in a pet portrait, come see me. But yeah, that's everything for me.
Okay, hi guys, I'm Sydney. I'm your membership engagement chair. I have a lot of pictures. I kind of like to tell stories, so just like stick with me. Um, that picture is from like my animal handling class, I think. I don't know who was saying it. Daniela, I think, was saying, if you have the opportunity to take like fun electives, you definitely should. I think it's a really great experience. I didn't really have any experience with like large animals or equine or anything, but now I'm in an equine intro class. It's really fun. Um, that picture of the top right, I'm also directionally challenged. There's a cat named Sylvia. I volunteered at an animal shelter back home, and she was my favorite cat ever. She was the cutest little thing. She always liked to be held. And when I was at school, I got a DM from the shelter on Instagram telling me that she got adopted. So I was really excited. And then when I went back home to visit, I actually got to meet the woman who adopted her. And then, oh, that picture is me and my dog Pebbles. She's kind of a monster. I got home from high school one day and she just like liked to like lay her little head there, but Lily can attest to this. She's like kind of a beast. So, and then that dog is when I was working at a vet over the summer. I'm gonna like nerd out for a second, but her name is Bellatrix, which like if any of you are Harry Potter fans like I am, I was like really excited to take this appointment, but she has like the complete opposite personality. She's like the sweetest, most chill dog ever, but her sister is named Rosie, but they should have opposite names because her sister is a beast. But those are some of my pictures. Okay. And then these are some of my experiences. So like I said, I shadowed Dr. Mia Fresno and Dr. Scaglione at the Animal Hospital of Hasbrook Heights. If any of you are from New Jersey, I recommend reaching out to them. They were a really great experience. I've been there the last 2 summers now, but I just kind of assist with appointments and surgeries. I take a lot of histories. I work in like restraining. These two pictures are dental x-rays. So I assist a lot in like those types of surgeries, especially because like the doctor doesn't really need to be there, the tech does. So if like I'm just kind of like her backup. Um, and then also like this is a heartworm test. I got like kind of used to running the blood work, so the CBCs, the chemistries, the heartworm test, like pretty much like the easy stuff, and also like the stool samples, which is like kind of gross, but a good like a good experience. Um, this cat was named Daisy. She was also another cat. Like I have to take pictures for their client profiles and stuff because I work on their files. So she was really cute. She was like the best behaved cat I've ever seen. So that was a really fun experience. By the end of it, I was like kind of like a technician, just like not in the name, but it's a good experience. I think Nick was saying this, but I also like literally emailed like 10 hospitals when I got home one summer. One of them said no, the rest didn't answer me, and she was the only one that said yes, but it doesn't really matter. One yes is all that counts. So don't let it get you down. Just keep being persistent. Dr. Frezzo actually came to Ohio State for vet school, so I kind of think that that's why she emailed me back. So, try and find connections anywhere you can. That was a really great connection. I think, started us off on the right foot. And then I also worked at the spay and neuter clinic of Ohio, like 20-ish minutes away. It's a really another like a great opportunity. It's like a low cost veterinarian. They have like they mostly do cat spay and neuters, but they do include some dogs, but they do, if you've ever seen like they do like 50 of them a day, like the vet just kind of moves from one to the other. And then they also do kind of like regular health checkups, just like vaccines, blood work, kind of your basic stuff because they are more low cost. But for that, I observed the surgeries and I worked on the rehabilitation mat. So whenever the cat comes off the table, um, we extubate it and then we just kind of make sure that its temperature, we check its temperature every now and then. And then for the dogs, it's also important that we just like stimulate them and make sure that they're waking up properly. And then also the Cat Welfare Association, that's also like 15 minutes away from campus. But there I shadowed the vet who was providing care to like abandoned animals that they found kind of on the side of the road or that people just dropped off or any like feral cats brought in. And then, like I was talking about, for volunteer, I worked at the Homeless Animal Adoption Center. Again, this is in New Jersey. It's in Clifton, if any of you are from that area. But I did that throughout my entire time at high school. Another great experience. That's kind of like my first introduction, because for my high school we had to do like mandated like service hours. So that's what I did mine at. I love all the cats there. I still always go back to visit, and they also kind of help me get connections with vets back at home that they worked with. So just try and like network wherever you can. And then also in high school, I went on a service trip to the McAllen Humanitarian Center. This is a humanitarian center in Texas for immigrants who like recently crossed the border. There we like they have different like stations. They have like vaccine and health stations. They have places for food, places to get like clothes that they might be missing, and then places that like help them connect them with any relatives or friends that they have. So that was a really cool experience. And then for leadership or campus involvement, I'm membership engagement chair of PVMA. This is my third year in pre-vet club, but my first on the exec board. And then I'm also a CFAS peer mentor and an ambassador. So I know you've heard a lot about those programs tonight, but I definitely highly recommend them. Another super great way to get like connected to people in the college and network. And then also just a chance to meet people. Yeah, it's a really great experience. I know Daniela and Elena and Lily and a bunch of other people from that. So I definitely recommend it. It's a good way, again, like keep in touch with your peer mentor, reach out to them if you ever need anything, ask questions. But yeah, and then that cat in the corner is from the Homeless Animal Adoption Center. His name was Steele. He was the worst cat ever. Every time I tried to feed him, he would bite me, but he was still really cute, so I guess it was okay. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me at the end, or if any of you are from New Jersey and wanna, you know, there's a lot of vets that I've like spoken to there, so if any of you are from there, okay.
Okay, so my name's Elena Perk. I'm your CFAS representative this year, and I'm a third year animal science major. I'm not going to go through every single one of my pictures, but I'll highlight two. Um, so this picture is of my dog Goose. He's now a year and a half old, but he loves to sleep like that. And then I came from an agricultural background, so we grew swine and show swine. So my camera roll looks a lot like that picture of swine, because we're looking at their ear notch for registration purposes. So I have a lot of small animal experiences from where I'm from, even though it's an agricultural, like rural area, it's very hard to get large animal experience. So last summer and this past summer, I've worked as a kennel and veterinary assistant at VCA Northwood Animal Hospital, which is in Springfield, Ohio, so around an hour away from here. It's been a very good experience. I learned a lot about what I don't want to do when I become a veterinarian. I would rather work on the large animal side rather than small animal. Just I don't like cats in the veterinary aspect. I have a cat at home, but I could not work on them every single day. And then I also have shadowed at the OSU Small Animal Hospital and have gotten to watch the third year vet students begin their journey on doing live animal surgery. For food animal and equine, like I said, I grew up showing market and breeding swine through all the years that I could through 4-H and FFA. Very unique. Not everyone gets that opportunity, but if you ever get the chance to walk around a fair, look at all the projects and appreciate all the hard work that has gone into one, getting those animals on the ground, feeding them, raising them, training them. There's a lot that goes into it in the background. And then also, I dabbled into showing and raising Holstein dairy feeders, a little family venture there, that we then brought them home from our county fair and raised them as dairy steers. I did this for about 2 or 3 years through 4-H and FFA as well. And then I also shadowed at the OSU Large Animal Hospital. Like the others have emphasized, this is an amazing opportunity. For me, going there feels like home. You get to be around a lot of people that are as passionate about large animals as I am, and the doctors there genuinely care that you understand what's going on with a specific case. Um, I can't say this for every department, but there have been numerous times where we've shadowed on a surgery and the doctor will stop and ask us questions about the surgery to make sure that we're following along with what they're doing and understanding why we're doing a specific procedure versus going a different route. So I highly recommend that. You can always reach out to Dr. Niehaus or one of us to figure out how to get set up with that experience. And then also highlight non-animal experience. So currently I have an on-campus job at the as a student assistant in the Department of Animal Sciences office. I started that last year and have continued this year. Through this role, it is my responsibility to do any like office related job for the professors in my office. So I work with Dr. Cole, if you know her, along with Dr. Eastridge and some other professors in the area of my office. I do printing, various 4-H related projects. So I put together Quarter Horse Congress equine like judging packets and contest packets for them to actually use at the Quarter Horse Congress. And then I also was a Walmart associate for 3 years throughout high school and even dabbling into my first year. I was an apparel TA and a front end TA. So a lot of customer service, you gain a lot of patience working with customers of all different backgrounds and personalities and opinions. But it's definitely important to get non-animal related experiences. Leadership, I'm your current PVMA CFAS representative. I'm also Tower's Agricultural Honorary CFAS representative for the spring. I'm a CFAS peer mentor, and then I also wanted to highlight some of my certifications. Throughout high school, I took capstone courses through FFA my junior and senior year, where my junior year I took an Elanco Animal Science certification course. This is like your typical animal science class, very basic information about animals, and you had to take like a test at the very end of it, and you had to get an 80% or higher to become certified. And then my senior year, I took an Elanco veterinary medical like materials certification. This basically covered basic veterinary medical utensils, practices, history, and things like that. Again, you had to pass with an 80% or higher, but just little things like that can get you more knowledge in the field that you're most interested in. And then for volunteering, I also volunteered at the Mid-Ohio Food Bank through PVMA. I really enjoy this experience because you're giving an opportunity to those who maybe aren't as fortunate. You get to help them take home some grocery items and even help prepare food for the next day for any, I guess, customers that would be coming back. But it's just a way to give back to maybe those who aren't as fortunate. And then I also have made tie blankets for pediatric cancer patients at the James. This was through a different club that I was in, but there's always different volunteer opportunities like that. I also volunteered at the Franklin County Dog Shelter through walking the shelter dogs there. And then I guess I'll go back to this. The middle picture of the white dog is of a shelter dog, and he was living his best life that day because we got them out and spent about 30 minutes to an hour with them, and that was time that they got out of their kennel, and it was also like a showcase opportunity for them. And then I also volunteered for removing invasive species at conservation parks. This was through community commitment, like the Pay It Forward program through the Ohio University. it was a good way to get out and do something that you don't necessarily always have the opportunity to do, and you were giving back to the environment and nature itself. And then finally, throughout high school, for 3 years, I was like a stakeholder engagement for FFA, and it was my responsibility to organize an event called Feed the Farmers. This was where we made meals and hand delivered them to the farmers as they were working in the field. This is kind of unique in the sense that I thoroughly enjoyed this event. My family has their own farm, and it was giving back to the community that I love most. And then finally, I was in a global education experience and hope to go on another one this upcoming spring. But I went to Scotland and studied ruminants this past spring break, where we went and saw cows, sheep, and goats. I highly recommend going on a study abroad if you have the chance. If you're nervous, take me as an example. I had never been on a plane nor left the country, and I did both in the same trip. Spent 7 to 8 hours on a flight for my first flight ever. But you get through it, and I wouldn't change that experience for the world. And I got to see a whole different side of the world that I wouldn't have got to otherwise. And that's all I have.
Really quickly, we still have Courtney and Aiden to hear from, but we are past time. So if anyone needs to excuse themselves, you're more than welcome to do so. But we're not going to deny, like, I still want to hear their experiences because I don't even know, to be honest. Sorry. I just want to make sure people didn't feel like they were being held hostage. You're fine.
Okay, I'll get started. I'll skip on the details since I know you guys probably want to go home. My name's Courtney Taylor. I'm a fourth year zoology major and I'm your publicity chair. Let's go over my photos real quick. On the top right, that's my child, Toffee. He just turned 9 last month. And then the two pictures at the clinic are at my internship I did like 2 summers ago. And then the two on the bottom left are from the Ohio Wildlife Center. Okay, so for small animal, I started off working in a doggy daycare. There's like dogs and cats. And I was just like getting used to like working with dogs. I didn't have a dog growing up. My parents did not let me do that. And then the summer after that, I got an internship at an animal hospital. And then I'm from Cleveland, so if anyone's from there, it's a great hospital. It was very hands-on, a lot of teaching. I got to learn how to give vaccines, blood draws, got to watch in on surgeries. And then after that, they offered me a job. So I worked there during like breaks. And then just this past May, I started working at a clinic in Columbus, Town and Country Animal Clinic. And then as everyone has pretty much said, I reached out to like 10 clinics, emailing, nothing back. So just keep trying. One will get back to you. And then for food animal, I also shadowed at the hospital like everyone else. And then going into wildlife, like I mentioned before, this past summer I interned at the Ohio Wildlife Center in the enrichment and nutrition at the pre-release facility. So I got to basically just like feed the animals, clean up after them. Some cool things, I got to like tube feed like the possums, the squirrels. I also got to help with some releases, which was really cool. And then for volunteering, my sophomore year, second semester, I was a research assistant in the Hubbock lab, and I helped a grad student do her research. It was with ragweed, and I quickly realized I am allergic to ragweed. Yeah. And then I'm also in biological science scholars program, so I did a lot of volunteering through that. So if you need anything, I have a long list. And then for non-animal experience, I did gymnastics my whole life, so I've coached since high school, and then I did that up until my first year of college. And then I coached for like a semester last year at Tuttle Park. And then I'm also worked as a babysitter for some kids that I used to coach. And then for campus involvement, as I said, I'm in biological scholars. And then I also peer mentor, so I help the first years like get acclimated to campus. And then obviously I'm on e-board.
Alrighty. Last but not least, I'm gonna speed run through this so you guys don't have to stay here for too much longer. So pictures right here, 3 of them by my horse. He's one of my horses. I have 2. We're in the process of selling him. He's in Illinois. Really cool horse. I showed him for a total of 5 years in the AQHA. So yeah. And then that dog is a picture of one of the dogs that at the veterinary hospital that I work at in Montgomery, Ohio, closer to Cincinnati. That can make sense. So equine. So I showed horses. Well, I've shown horses for nearly 12 years. I started at the age of 8. And I've shown English and Western. I've done really pretty much everything that you can name of: eventing, dressage, cross country, um, hunter under saddle, Western pleasure, showmanship, equitation, horsemanship, all those disciplines, you name it, I've probably done them. I showed in the Dayton local show circuit, DLSC. I showed in 4-H, the AQHA, YETA, an IEA, and I currently show in the IHSA, which is the Intercollegiate Horse Show Association. And this year, well, this semester, I joined the Western Equestrian team. Super fun. I'm glad to be showing again at the collegiate level and working on my showing skills, all that fun stuff. And I'm also part of the OSU Equine Club. So moving more towards large animal and farm animal, shadowed a bunch of different vets. Basically all the vets that I have here on this slide, I've shadowed this past summer or the year prior. A lot of cool experiences, a lot of cool different stories that I could tell you about and that I would love to share. But I'm not going to do that for the time being. Small animal, I have been a veterinary assistant and / kennel technician for the past 4 years at the Kyle Veterinary Hospital in Montgomery, Ohio. I shadowed Dr. Kyle, which is the lead veterinarian there. And I also shadowed a different veterinarian, Dr. Griffin, also at that hospital. Also, I'm a pet sitter. I have a bunch of different stories about being a pet sitter as well. One of the stories I'm going to share very briefly, I got locked in a chicken coop on the 4th of July, and I needed somebody to save me because I could not get out of the chicken coop because I was locked in there. So fun. Pet sitting is fun. Volunteering, I was I was a 4-H camp counselor in Warren County, similar to Emily. And then I was also part of the Warren County Junior Fair Board, serving as the treasurer and the junior superintendent of fundraising. Very fun, very cool. And then also for animal sciences, I am an undergraduate teacher's assistant for Animal Science 22-21, which is the intro to equine class. I would highly suggest taking it. Super fun. I'm also a TA for Animal Science 1100 and Animal Science 2700. Leadership wise, this is my second year as an EB for PVMA. I served as your C-Face representative last year, and now your treasurer. I'm a C-Face college ambassador, and I'm also treasurer for the Animal Science Community Alliance. That's me.
All right, gonna quickly go through this for those of you that are still here. But as you can tell, there's a bunch of different things we've done today. Everyone's covered a lot of different ground. So if there's something that stood out to you, go speak to that person. We're all approachable. We won't bite, I promise, unless you talk to Addie. Whoa. Okay, so where to look? We have a great resource. We have a college of veterinary medicine attached to OSU. Not every school has that opportunity, so we already have a leg up on schools like Findlay and Wilmington if you're looking in-state. So just use them. Food Animal Hospital, pretty much everyone's done that. Equine Hospital, you can find opportunities. And then ICU Pet Sitting, I know that they have a wait list going on right now, but get on that wait list. Try to engage in it because it is a good opportunity and you're just helping animals who are in a bit of pain or disoriented. PVMA speakers, whenever we have doctors or anybody coming in, no matter what sector of vet med they're from, if you have questions, if you're interested, if it ignites any kind of interest in you, go talk to them. At the very least, you can make a connection. They can put a name to the face and kind of just have this kind of idea that even if you can't go shadow them or you can't work directly with them, they're going to have colleagues in mind. They're going to have practices in mind. And if you make a good first impression, they're going to help you get your foot in the door at those places. PVMA students or pre-vet students anywhere, talk to us. We love sharing opportunities. We all have doctors that we've enjoyed working with or haven't enjoyed working with, and we can help you kind of navigate those situations themselves. Also, if you have mentors, so anyone within your academics. So if you have an academic mentor, I know for animal science, you have a department advisor. I'm really close with mine. He's helped connect me with a lot of opportunities. So utilize that. Hometown vets. That's how I got the job at my clinic, is that the doctor I got my job through is actually from my hometown, even though his clinic is here in Columbus. So use that to your advantage. I know it sounds kind of businessy and like, I don't know, I don't like that side of stuff, but use it to your advantage. They want to help you become successful, especially because you're from their community, and most people have an intention to go back to serve their community. So keep that in mind. Cold call. This sucks. I'm not gonna like it sucks. Cold calling, sending a bunch of emails. It is the worst feeling ever because you are going to send 20 emails before you get a response back, but it is so necessary. You get in your foot in one door. Many people have said this, but you get in one place and that's all that matters. So just be persistent, keep going, find new contacts, no matter what clinic it is, no matter what email it is, just keep sending stuff. Just be polite about it. And then use class and study abroad opportunities to your advantage. So I know in animal sciences, you have to fulfill production courses. Use that. So I know for me, I don't have any experience or extremely limited experience in anything related to equine. So my intention is to take the equine production course because I want to be more versed in that field. And then stuff like judging courses. I know Daniela took one. I hope you actually did enjoy it. But it's going to teach you something. So whether it's taking dairy, just learning a bit more about that sector, judging, meat judging, if you take meat judging, that's a great way to learn more about anatomy and physiology of the body and kind of how everything coincides. And then look at Loop or OSU study abroads. It's going to just open up a new world of opportunity, and they're all going to be unique in their own way. So just use it. And then anything you do in life, put it on your MCAS. Doesn't matter what it is. You need a lot of diversity and you need a lot of hours and all of that diversity. So don't focus only on a small animal. If you're a food animal, that's great. You're equine, that's great because we really need vets in those sectors right now. So having experience in that is fantastic. So try to get that as well. Exotics, that's great. A lot of kids can't get exotics, which I thought until Nick whipped out his plethora. But yeah, just try to get a lot of diversity. And then especially apart from the animal side of anything, working with people is a huge part of that med in every kind of sector. And it's what's going to make you successful in life. So try to prioritize opportunities where you're actually just working with people, whether that's undergrad students, whether it's vet students, whether it's just community members, just try to prioritize everything you can. Am I missing anything? Okay, slay. Anyway, we do have a section on our website that is labeled VEMCAS, and that's where we try to plug a bunch of different resources we think we might have. I know I need to talk to Nick and get some more resources uploaded for you, just like how to format an email or what to say when you cold call clinics. So you kind of have an idea, because that was what stopped me from getting an earlier start, was I just didn't know where to start. So use us. We've all been through it. We've all had success or failure in that realm. So talk to us. We want you to learn from our mistakes or help you with what we're successful with. Okay. I think that's it. This is all our contact information if you want to talk to anybody. I know this is a different kind of meeting, but hopefully you all feel like you know us a little bit more. And I'm really sorry we took up a lot of time today. But I'm really glad I learned more about y'all. I don't know. I learned more about you. I am so jealous. Courtney, you've got a possum. Why am I jealous about that? Why am I jealous about that? It's like, why am I jealous about a possum? I know. I know. I really like to be on that.